Hi everybody, it's Alisa Murray here, and I'm having another Martini Talk with one of my best friends, Ben. Hey everybody,
Hey,
say
how
hey to
y'all
Ben.
doing? Hey,
Yeah.
what's up?
Yeah. So, what's been going on? We've got a lot of stuff that's been going on.
A lot. Well, first off, thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely.
Finally, I'm able to finally show up. You know, a lot of things been going on with the COVID, weather. We always have bad weather when
I know. Every time we get something set up on the calendar, both of our calendars are real busy. And it's either going to pour down rain or something comes up and we can't get it together. But finally, we got a good day.
Right.
It's not too hot outside.
Nope.
It's good, and we got a chance to finally get together and see each other. I hadn't seen you in a long time.
It's been, I don't think we've seen, we seen each other in 2020?
Nope.
No.
You haven't seen me in 2020 because I was telling you about the heart attacks and all that stuff.
Right.
So you haven't seen me since last year.
Last year. Yeah. When everything was all so simple.
I know, right? So, guys, Ben is a comedian full-time, and he's also in mental health care. And one of the reasons why I wanted to visit with Ben is because mental health is such an issue anyway. My degree's in psychology, and it's always been a big deal to me, but it's bigger. It's a bigger deal right now, especially with COVID and stuff going on, and it's just something to think about. If you've got anybody that you know that's not doing good, you know, if you know the signs of what that looks like, you need to try to reach out and get them some help because it's just really crazy. And being locked up in your house is absolutely a trigger for it.
Right.
For sure.
Of course. I mean, it's a lot of different triggers. I mean, triggers was probably the first word that I was taught, or like constantly like bombarded in your brain, trigger, because everything can be a trigger for people.
Mm-hmm.
And anything could be a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're talking about a situation where people are getting their lives uprooted, losing jobs, having time that they never had
people
before.
are used to going to work.
Yeah, you know.
And this is something interesting too, Ben. And you guys, my viewers will probably find this interesting, not surprising, I'm sure. But so many people are not used to being with their spouses. Thankfully, Brian and I, of course, are together every day, all the time. And a lot of my clients over all these years have been like, which are our friends too, they're like, oh my God, how can y'all like do that? Like, I don't even understand how you still stay married. I don't know how we couldn't do it because it's just our way of life. But people are like locked in with their spouses and they don't really know each other.
Right, and then you realize that I really don't like you.
And then I
don't really like
I've
you
had
like
two people that are dear friends of mine that are like getting divorces because of COVID. They got stuck in their house and they're like, hey dude, I don't want to be married to you anymore, or vice versa.
That could be a blessing or a curse.
Right, I know, but it's just like a whole nother wave of other stuff that happens because of this that's happening to all of us globally. It's crazy.
Right. It's like I say, this is the first time in my lifetime, and I'm only 30, where I can say it's something that affects each and everybody everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've lived in my time, we lived through 9/11, and it affected the country. Mm-hmm. But if you wasn't right
in
there,
New York, it's a little different.
Yeah, you know, it's naturally different. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Dust down here, we have to deal with the hurricanes, and people may feel for us, and you know, but it's different than having to live it.
Right.
So with this now, it's just, you know, everybody's getting touched on it, and like you say, mental health is very, very important. Take care of your minds. You got to take care of your mental.
Yeah.
And
it's like we were talking earlier. You got to move.
Man.
You got to like
you gotta
move. You got to get up and go.
Around.
You can't sit around your tail all day. And
no, you can't. Because you're not used to doing that. The thing about it is, like, even if this is a very, very extended vacation for some people.
No kidding.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, and unpaid.
Right, and that's the biggest problem.
Right, unpaid.
That's the biggest and the scariest problem, because this is where you see things start to get a little weird. The first 2 or 3 weeks, it was kind of like, okay. And then as you start extending that thing out, where there's no knowledge of when we're going to be able to go back to work, is when the savings start to go.
The people didn't know what to do. They had got their little $1,200. They didn't know where to spend it. That's hysteria.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot going on,
and I went crazy. I mean, y'all know I went crazy. I already told you guys a couple of weeks ago. That garden that garden back there, that garden is an absolute reflection. I got so zoned in on the idea that there would not be any food, and so freaked out whenever I would go to one grocery store
and it wouldn't have
online, and I'd put it in the cart, and I was so used to having that be okay, and then I'd get there and they couldn't deliver it because it was not there. That triggered me, and I was like, okay, that's it.
Right.
That's absolutely it. So now I'm going to plan everything. And poor Brian, his mama called from North Carolina, and she said, please do not let Alisa work herself to death. She's not supposed to be doing all this crazy stuff. She's not supposed to be lifting all this crazy stuff. She's just doing all this crazy, like, farming is hard.
Right.
It's not like for the faint of heart. I mean, it's not just sticking your finger in the dirt and covering it up. You got a lot of work, and the more you plant, the more you got to do. Well, Brian said, I can't stop her because she's just locked in, like something's flipped a switch and she's afraid that she's not going to have food, so she's planted all the food
I'm looking at this
all the food you know. And now the running joke at the studio is when the little children come, they're like, Auntie A, let's play name that vegetable, and they go through the garden and they're like pulling out a cucumber or pulling off a tomato or looking at whatever, and they're like, what's that? I'm like, artichoke. What's that? Olive. What's that? Asparagus. And they're like, oh my God, you're right, like all the vegetables are in the ground because I freaked out.
Right.
You know.
For me, this was new to me. I was still able to be blessed to still being able to have my work in the medical field.
By the way, big shout out, because Ben is one of my dear friends, and there are many of them that are in the healthcare business and are a part of keeping everybody safe and taking care of everybody that's coming in. I mean, I've got lots of people that are doctors, nurses. Yeah. They are in the middle of it every day, all the time, and they'll call or text and give me kind of an update all over the country as to how many they saw, how many were tested positive, how many were put on a ventilator, where their PPE is, if they had them, if they don't have them. And you and I were talking about that earlier. Like, we just really were not prepared.
Not prepared. And like for me, when I would have my stretches of days off, or not when I'm not working, it was different for me, because if I'm not working, I'm always working.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
it's like me. I mean, I'm constantly finding something to do.
Yeah. When people say, "Hey, you off today?" I'm like, I'm never off. So with this, I find myself going to Walmart too much. Just for nothing. You look up. Been to Walmart twice. In a day. And you're seeing people, they starting to know your name, and it's weird. So, and I'm not a person that shops like that regularly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I shop,
right?
I'm gonna get it done and
get done,
and then that's it. You know what I'm saying? I'll go in and pick up something, but you get bored. And I hope that in the beginning I said that I hope people really start to appreciate like people, because for those people who at work. You see your family members way less than you see your coworkers. These are becoming your family and stuff, and it all piggybacks into the mental health, because you don't have these people anymore. These are the people that you were spending 80 plus hours a week, and now that they're gone, you don't have that anymore. Your regular life is different, and now you gotta go back and kind of, this is your regular life, but this is you at home more than you used to. You seeing your kids more than not that that's something that's supposed to be bad, but
I mean, and it's not, but it's different, because a lot of the people I've talked to too, and not necessarily on the show, and we'll have more on the show too, but a lot of the moms, especially the professional moms, they're used to taking those kids, dropping them off at school. They've got and they go to work, and now that some of them have been furloughed, some of them have been completely laid off, and they're looking at maybe having to do homeschool, like, for the fall. We were talking about that this weekend. Like, it may not be that we go back to school like we were used to going back to school.
I don't think so.
I can't imagine. In fact, I was watching something on TV. The people that make those plexiglass windows that are between us and the cashiers, the guy who makes that, one of the companies that makes that, was on, I think, 60 Minutes or one of the shows that I'll have on TiVo. And he said that one of the saddest things that he had seen a request for are plexiglass windows, or walls rather, for the toddlers to sleep during their nap times. And I think about, now this is just going off a different rabbit hole, but I think about, and you guys know because you watch my stuff and you've read my column and you know me, you know, my childhood was really disrupted because my mom got killed when I was 8 years old, right? So for me, I didn't have a normal childhood in any sense of the imagination. I mean, like, you can't, once something that tragic happens, your life has changed forever. Right. And so I can only imagine, like, if you think about a baby or a child, a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old that's used to playing with their friends.
Right.
Now they're wearing masks. Right. Now they're sleeping with weird.
Can't be around them as much. Can't touch. Can't. You know what I'm saying? Just even the simple.
It's just weird.
Right.
It's just weird. And I know that one of the reasons why people flip and have their trigger is because they're out of control. The control of our environment is critical. Right. For me, I know it's critical for me, which is why I'm like trying to control the food source.
Right. Because we can only control. The thing about it is life is going to happen.
Right.
And things are going to happen. So you can only control so much naturally. So when you get to the point where you can't even control the few little things that you were controlling, it's like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To the disruption of schools and unfortunately, like, I'm blessed, you blessed. It's people that's blessed out there to have the resources to, whether it be, you know, something as simple as internet connection. Now you got usually your kids will be at school and they didn't necessarily have as much work on the computer.
Right.
They may have some.
A little bit in high school, middle school, yeah.
Right, and it'll be stuff that.
But not trying to teach a 2-year-old
and you could
ABCs.
You can maneuver around certain, you know, let's say you got a project or you got something, you can maneuver, hey, what we're going to do it this day, we're going to go to the library, but libraries are closed.
Yeah.
So, you know, when it comes down to it, it's just very different. And I see it in the mental health. We get a lot of people to come in. I work in emergency. It's not just, anytime you see extreme cases. When people, when
they flip their, you know what.
So the thing about it is, emergency, where I am, the emergency room for psych, there's some people want to go straight to homicidal, suicidal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so tough to get a psychiatrist or get an appointment with a psychiatrist compared to getting a regular doctor. You may have to you see a psychiatrist this month, and you might not be able to get in to see your psychiatrist again until
6 months.
You know, 2, 3, 4. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, but luckily they have places like where I am, and they have emergency where you can come in and say, well, you can at least come and talk to somebody in between that time. But now you gotta imagine, the emergency clinic doesn't close. The emergency room, we never close.
No.
24.
Yeah.
But these doctors' offices, they close.
Yeah.
These psychiatrists, they close. Some of them they're doing the
telehealth.
The telehealth. But initially, it's just, hey, I have an appointment on Monday because they shut everything down that Monday. Well, I have an appointment Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm out of medicine.
Yeah.
You know, I'm out of.
And that's the other thing. So I kind of did another freak out because after having stent surgery, you have to be on that medicine for your blood thinner every 12 hours or it'll clot.
Right.
And the stents will close and you're dead. So I went to the pharmacy. We had the Women's Expo, the Quinceañera Expo at the George R. Brown in January. It was in that window between the first stent surgery and the second stent surgery. And I went to go get the prescription, and Walgreens didn't have it. They were out. So she said it'll take a couple of days to get it. So that kind of triggered me because I'm like, I got to have this medicine like every day, twice a day. Like, you can't be out of this medicine. So then when all this stuff hit, I started calling the pharmacist. I'm like calling them 2 weeks before it's done. I call the doctor. I'm like, I want 90-day supply.
Right.
I need to have some security that I've got my meds.
Right.
Granted, it's not mental health meds, but I'm like, this is life and death stuff. And I was like, no. There's a lot. That was a big trigger too. I was like,
But see, that triggered you to start making some, run calls and just like with the food, and it triggered you to get your garden going and everything like that because you had the resources. you've persevered through different things in your life.
Yeah.
So you know, it's a lot. You got some people who they just got hit with this, and they're not as resourceful. They may not have the resources or be you
Right.
know, being taught to be as to be resourceful.
And it's so
you know?
funny too, Ben. You know, I don't know if you believe in spirits, but you have to hear this story because you're just, and you guys do too. You're going to think I'm either crazy, ha ha ha, or you're not. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter either way. I'm pretty confident that I'm
y'all
not
watching, so
that I'm not crazy. I'm pretty confident I'm not crazy.
You're cool with either or.
But you know, like there's certain things that you do that it's almost like you're programmed.
Right.
And I have not been taught by my grandmother or my grandfather or anybody in my family,
right.
How do you plant squash? How do you plant zucchini? How do you do this? How do you nurture that? How do you plant this? Do that. I just sort of was like, I got to do this. And we all came from North Carolina. I mean, you know, like that's where we came from, and Virginia. And we have in our family farming. I mean, tobacco, soybean, all of that's there.
Right.
It's just genetically coded somehow. And when I was going through pictures one afternoon, because you know, pictures with me, you know how that is, because I'm your photographer. But anyway, I'm going through old pictures, and I found this great grandfather photo that is I think on Nana's side, my dad's mother's side, and he's wearing like overalls, and he's got like this hoe or shovel or something. He's on the farm, clearly in Virginia.
Right.
And he's like old. It's an old photo. It's like the one that has the little rounded edges on it and stuff. And I flipped it over, and it's like whoever it is, probably taken in like, I don't know, in the late 1800s. I mean, old photo. And it just made me smile because it was like, you know what? Part of the bad things are all around you, but part of the goodness of having something like this happen resets all of the buttons.
Right.
And you come closer to God.
Right.
You come closer to your roots. You find a place that you can connect. So here's the story. So all the stuff's going on, and I had this dream. And I had a dream probably 3 weeks before my mother was killed that she was going to die. And I was little, and normally child psychology, children do dream that their parents are going to die, and it freaks them out, and it's just part of being a child. But I did, and then she did die. And so that's always sort of stuck with me for obvious reasons.
Right.
So I had this dream, and my grandmother and my dad had come to visit me. And Nana said to me, just like she was talking to me in my ear, she said to me, they've sent us to see you, but we don't know why. And Daddy was with her, and I was freaked out. I woke up crying. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get COVID. I'm going to die. They're coming to get me. They're kind of warning me. And of course, I just had all this heart stuff. So I was like super freaked out. So then a couple of weeks go by, or maybe a month, because you know we're losing track of everything with the time because of COVID. But I said, we need masks. We're going to need masks. And she goes, we have them. And I said, I didn't buy any masks. And I said, Brian, did you buy masks? And he said, no, why would I buy a mask? We've never needed to use a mask. We don't have any masks. Sitting in our laundry room, appearing from nowhere, were exactly 6 N95s in a bag in the laundry room. Now, Nana always did our laundry growing up. Mom and Daddy were both doctor, nurse, right? I don't know what the explanation is, but if I didn't go buy these N95 masks, and I got all these dead people around me, some of them in the medical profession, and I got them whispering to me in the garden, plant this, plant that, plant this, plant that, do this, don't do this, and they all just appeared in the house, I told B, I said, I'm sorry, but I think that Daddy or Mama, somebody brought us those masks and dropped them off in the laundry room, because we have one for everybody in our family, only one. N95s, not a regular mask, like the Mercedes-Benz of masks.
Oh, I know. That's what you see. That's the one I got.
What in the name of the Lord? How did that happen? If there's not a ghost, right? I mean, like, hello.
How many martinis did you have?
I know this was during the broad daylight.
That doesn't mean anything. But no, I mean, I've had my own different things that have happened, so I can't say that anything about it. Just be like, hey, that was a blessing. You know,
that's the thing. I mean, like, I just feel like I don't have anything around me that's bad. It's not bad spirits, but I definitely believe. I definitely believe in it, and I believe that that's how we got those masks.
I mean, shoot, I mean, once I would have seen them, I'm like, well, they here now.
Yeah.
So,
She was like, you mean this? And I was like, where did that come from? And she goes, I don't know. We didn't have them. They weren't here. She thought I'd gone out and bought them.
right.
And I didn't buy
You
them.
can't just go out and buy them.
And that's the thing. And why would I buy 6?
Right.
Only 6. If I was going to be buying them, you know me,
Right,
I would have bought a ding dang case of them. Yeah.
They're going to let you get.
I got one for each person to have in the family. Period.
Wow.
I just thought it was wild. I thought it was wild, guys. I mean, like, you can call me crazy if you want to. I don't even care. But I thought it was pretty strange. And, I mean, the thing about it is that it makes sense. It makes sense with Nana having come to me with Daddy. We don't know why they've sent us to you, but we don't know why we're here or whatever. They've sent us here. We don't know why. And then, like, maybe 3 or 4 weeks later, there's this need to wear a mask, and they know that I'm sure they know. I'm sure all of my family members that are not here anymore with us spiritually know how we do down here, those of us that are still here. So I'm sure that they're certainly aware of the heart stuff that's going on. So it's kind of cool. You got to admit.
I mean,
it's a little freaky, but it is kind of cool.
Yeah, I just need some spirits. I got some things that I need.
You want to ask for it? Hell, I didn't even ask for it. I didn't even ask for it.
You know they said that we gotta start wearing diamond necklaces.
Okay, then.
For the COVID, and just said size 10 Nikes to protect your feet from the COVID. But nah. No, I remember I had a situation in college where it was some spirits around, but it was the wrong ones.
Oh.
And
yeah.
So I watched this movie, and I have never watched it since. I had this movie called the Skeleton Key. I don't know if you ever heard of the Skeleton Key. It was shot in New Orleans, I think. The movie, of course, is almost...
Is it a movie, or was it like a documentary?
No, it's a movie.
Oh, okay.
It was an actual movie. Film. It was shot in... I remember it was shot in New Orleans and everything like that. So, it's based on, like, some voodoo...
Oh, yeah, because of New Orleans.
Right.
Yeah.
Skeleton Key. And, so, you know how when you're watching a DVD and it cuts off... You know, once you finish watching it, it goes back to, like, the screen, and it just, if it has like a little animation thing, it just plays that over and over.
Oh yeah, like on a circle.
Right. Yeah. It's on a loop. So I'm up late. I put on the movie, like I put on something like I regularly do, still do to this day. I put on something knowing I'm probably not gonna watch it.
Right. Just as noise.
Yeah. So I put it on and I watch maybe like the 20-30 minutes of it, and I fall asleep. So when I wake up, it's looping.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who have Skeleton Key, it has a chant, like a voodoo chant.
Ugh.
So the voodoo chant been playing all night.
Oh, yuck.
It's just been...
Oh, Ben.
And so I wake up, and I just finished watching the movie. I just pressed play, like rewind where I was at.
Yeah.
And just finished the movie. So I get up, take a shower, because it was like one of my late days where I had a class late. So I was like, all right, I get up, go shower, and I had like this burn mark in the middle of my head. It was like a burn mark in the middle of my head, and I said, man, what the hell is that? Because I had done that thing. So I kept, and it wouldn't come off. And then I said...
You mean like ashes, like when you go to church on Ash Wednesday?
It
wasn't burned like it was burned like you got hurt.
So this is the thing. I tried to use water to wash it off because I did like that, and it was still there. And everything like that, and I said, "Man, what the heck?" And it looked like I had a scratch or a scab, and it had in the head, like it was on my head, like I had a mark on my head. And then I said, "Man," so I went, and I instantly said, once I couldn't wash it off, I said, "Oh, this must be some voodoo." I instantly thought about the skeleton that I had just seen. So I went, and this is like 2007, so I didn't have an actual DVD. I had a bootleg, but it was the actual. It was burnt like a
right. Yeah,
it's a high quality bootleg, just the real deal.
Yeah.
Got the whole little everything. So I said, man, I get it. And those DVDs, those that you copy, those things was very strong.
Right.
And I tried to
break it.
Yeah, I just could not break that thing. And I tried to do everything to break that thing. I was like, man, I'm finna break it. And then I remember I tried to slam it. I slammed it into the little door, and finally, eventually, it broke off. I kid you not. I went and took the shower after that, and the stuff started falling off into the tub. It wouldn't wash off.
I'm gonna tell you, there's a bunch of people in Siena where we live. You know, we're in the back end of what used to be a plantation,
Mm-hmm.
and there are a bunch of people in like this little community group that are reporting regularly little children laughing, little girls laughing, spirits in their houses, which is kind of ugh.
Mm. Oh, I thought
I love you. Did you get a bug? There's a bug.
I felt like someone was breathing in my ears.
Oh God.
Something blue or something.
Oh no, that's not good. We gotta stop talking about that. We'll move on to a different subject. The one thing I want to tell everybody about, no, we don't need anybody licking your ear. That's crazy.
It's too early for that.
That's right. That's right. I want you to talk about how this whole thing has changed your comedy. I mean, you're doing stand-up, and you don't have an audience right now. You're having to rearrange all of that.
So my last time that I performed for the first time.
Last
Memorial Day
weekend, yeah.
That Friday, I performed, and we had a crowd of about 20 people, and that was the cutoff. You know,
Yeah.
For the room that we had, and it was good.
Yeah.
It was a good show. No, none of the comics showed.
What?
Yeah, none of the comic shows. I mean, it's different things they played into that. I didn't do a lot of double check or like. There was this whole uncertainty. It wasn't like a regular.
You didn't know if you're going to be able to do it or not.
Yeah. So, I was. I know people just want to perform.
Right.
At this point, so it really wasn't even about necessarily paying and everything like that. But I just was I was on the fence about performing. The owner wanted me. He's like, man, let's do the show. He was more pushing. That's one of my.
Just trying to get everybody to start slow, but let's get it going again.
I work with him, perform, put together shows at his venue a lot. He's like, man, let's get it going. And definitely once they gave the okay, and he was just like, what's up, man? You ready? And I just be like, yeah, we gonna. And I said, all right, we still got weeks till, so I'll just say yeah.
Yeah.
And if it get canceled, it get canceled.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing like an hour and 45 minutes of comedy. Wasn't all great.
Well,
because it hadn't done it. And so
I was gonna say it's not like riding a bike where you just never forget how to do that. You're used to an audience, and
it is to an extent, because like once I got on, I didn't know where I was gonna start.
Right.
That was the thing. It was just like, okay. Because you kind of like, I don't want to go right into the COVID, and I don't want to just go COVID all night, but then at the same time,
it's such a prevalent part of our life.
Right, so you got to give a little bit of this and a little bit of that. We ended up having a good time. We laughed. It didn't feel like an hour and 45 minutes or whatever, and we just had a good time. So, but prior to that, we did I think I did 2 virtual shows, and it was. One of them was really fun because we did it. It was comics there, so they was like the audience, and we were just happy to be kind of performing again and being. We hadn't seen each other. Like a few of us would,
text or
we'll talk, communicate,
right?
Whatever, social media and stuff like that. But we had seen each other, but of course not like how we regularly would do.
Right.
So, that was just good to be around each other, and when we got there, I mean, I performed, but I was ready to just hang out. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's changed, of course, because we don't have that, and then everybody's seeing the same thing. Everybody's dealing with it. Go back to everybody's been affected by it. So one of the things about being a comic, you try to pride yourself on being original and being different and not sticking with what's going on and everything, but and you still can,
right?
With this, but
you can touch on it.
Yeah, but it's just so much, and even when when I seen a few comedy shows that they've had, it's just like, oh, that's all they're gonna talk about is the COVID all the way through. Okay, it'll be something funny.
Well, I mean, but and here's the other thing. I mean, part of it is that everybody's just so affected, and it's everything about our lives. It's everything. It's not like it's just a little thing. It's like everything. And it's like you said when we first started talking, it's not like it's Houston and we have Harvey. Mm-hmm. We're wading in the water, and we don't have electricity, and we're trying to figure out how to put our lives back together and our houses back together because we just had a massive hurricane and a 100-year flood and craziness. But you over in New York, you see it, but you don't really feel it because you're not really in it, and you feel bad, but it's like not me.
Right.
Everybody's in it, and everybody's in it in a weird way because some are at home with their children that are little, that don't know how to homeschool.
Some got to still go.
Some got to go to work and be worried every time they walk in the house they're going to get their family sick or kill them.
Right.
Some have people in nursing homes that can't be visited, which is just bizarre.
Right.
Some are trying to get married. I mean, it's just a lot.
We're not allowing visitors. There's a lot of different things that you that's going on. Like even for all the people that's passing away. Can't even have regular funerals. Like
I know. I know.
People now they're starting to able to get back to it because they've opened up a little, with the 25%.
That's the other reason why I knew. That doctor said when he told me I had all those heart attacks, and I just was like, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Yeah, you've had countless." And I was just like, "Oh my God!" And then of course, with February, I almost died. And listen to this. I just was like, we cannot be dying in the middle of COVID because I have the whole funeral planned. If y'all been reading my columns for years, I've got martinis and sushi and just it's a party. It's like 1,000+ people party, just like my wedding was. I can't be having a ding dang funeral with 10 people. That ain't gonna work for me.
And then it's gonna have to be some over here, some over
No, that doesn't work for me. I need to have my Louis Vuitton and my wig on my Louis Vuitton and everybody there.
Yeah, if it happened, if something was to happen to me now, knock on
metal, knock on something.
Oh, I'm covered, so I think it'll be all right. But if I don't know, you have to do something different. People got to come in. Maybe somebody hand them a drink on the way in, and they just come look, say something, and walk on down.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I'll be glad when we get back to normal.
I was listening to something on the radio the other day. I rarely listen to radio, but I just happened to be listening, and it was yesterday morning. And so they had a woman on who was she's like a director for I forgot what company, but she works for she's the like CEO of one of the major insurance companies.
Okay.
And she was just telling about how, man, a lot of these insurance companies, of course they getting sued, and these people can't. They don't have the money to pay out to everybody because everybody's suing. And they were saying like that. She said, I really think we're looking at about 2-3 years before things get back to normal.
I think so too.
And and that's the thing. People want it to get. Of course, everybody wants things to get back to normal, but nobody's willing. I'm not willing to sacrifice myself for normalcy. Like I'm normal. Like it's normal enough for me. Like, if it turned into like Walking Dead, that's when I'm tripping. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, I miss the stage consistently like I used to, but I'm finding other avenues to release my creativity. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't got to the point where I'm.
Well, and that's the same thing with me. I mean, I'm here. I'm home. I'm always here. I'm always home. Right. But I'm usually with people.
Right.
People are visiting. People are coming. They're bringing me children. I'm hugging and kissing babies. I'm seeing mommies. I'm seeing daddies. I'm seeing families that I've photographed and taken care of for years. Not seeing people because they're not coming in yet. And some of them are coming in if they have to, because it's like newborn babies have to see me like they do. And they know I haven't gone anywhere. So there's a few that come here and whatever. But for the most part, it's like, 1 or 2 people a week. I'm used to seeing 5 and 6 people, families a day. Mm-hmm. So it's really been hard for me as an extrovert to not be in front of and with people. But I've, the whole YouTube has just been a blessing because I've been able to just figure out a way.
And it's something new.
To do, yeah. And it's new also something new for me, but it's also a way to marry the photography, marry the the relationships.
Right.
Mary, the children out here in the garden with me learned how to plant vegetables. I mean, who would have thought that that would have morphed into, it's a constantly changing situation. And y'all know I was on Martini Talks 2 nights, 2 only, alone. I was talking to Ben about this earlier, and I'm like, thank the Lord you're coming to visit with me today, because I don't like being in front of the camera. Y'all know it. I've already told you. I don't like being in front of the camera alone, for sure.
Right.
I really like it much better if I've got somebody I can shoot with, you know, and hang out with and talk about stuff.
One of the things that's been going on with all this, I say that I knew that it was going to, because everything is technology now. And if you kind of see, I mean, you're going to have schools, that's going to be the new thing. Like they already have kids, you know, teachers and on the computer.
All that zooming and
all that. That's the new normal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when we say like getting back to normal, it was not getting back. We're finna create.
Yeah.
I always tell people now, like me being a father, and I look at the girls and I say, man, you know, I enjoy it now because they'll never be like tomorrow won't be like today.
Right.
Like they'll never go backwards.
No.
And be
little
7 and
No,
10 and
no,
5. You
no.
know, so just gotta keep moving forward.
And you know, the other thing too, which has been kind of interesting and really special, is that James Edward and Victoria Ann both wanted me to videotape me in the kitchen doing recipes from my grandmother's so that they would have them for when I'm not here anymore.
Right.
And I know that sounds morbid, but you know, when you live with people that are you live with people that are gone. Yeah, we do. Actually, we do.
Right.
When you have a lot of people who have passed away, and you have that situation in your family where people just drop dead from heart disease, the kids have been, you know, they've been a part of that. They know that there's always a possibility that I might be out in the yard and shoot a baby and fall over and be gone, you know, so they don't live their lives with this fear of that, but they know that life is precious and life is momentarily here, and you don't know when you're going to go.
This is one thing I was trying to mention earlier, but along the lines like appreciating people, the time that you're in, because death is right in our face. Like it's always been there.
Yeah.
But it's smack dab in everybody in the face, because I even had a fear when I go to work and I was just like, because you try to be like, it ain't that, but then you use, so you have that fear, you know what I'm saying? But then after about a month, I don't want to die or have a death wish or anything like that.
Right.
But it's one of those things where you have to live, appreciate life, and then like you say, like them wanting to have the recipes and stuff like that, have something,
legacy,
have a legacy in it, you know what I'm saying? And I hope that people look at death differently than what they used to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's a part of life.
Well, and that's the thing that for me, I've always been like, well, I've lived with it my whole life, right? So when people would bring me their grandparents, I would say, I need you to get me the grandparents every year or whatever, if they're sick, like every 6 months or whatever. And then all the kids' cancer calendars and breast cancer calendars and all the work that I've done in the community over the years has been dealing with death. Like the whole bottom core of it was these people might die.
Right.
Well, the reality is we're all going to die. Right? We're all going to die. So if nothing else comes good from the situation we're in, if people leave the jobs that they hate, reconnect with their children, find another passion, find their passion, figure out what they're supposed to be doing with their lives, reconnect with their God, their maker, their person, their Allah, their whoever they're worshiping, but be respectful of those that don't think the same.
Yeah.
Then it's been a good thing. It's been a good thing.
Hopefully it's a reset. A reset, and then you can recharge. And like you said, people take, for example, like barbers and you know, beauticians and people like that who used to, like how you used to seeing 4 or 5 families a day, and when they, you know, oh, I got these many heads, and you know, because bills don't stop, you know what I'm saying? And living, long as you living, the price, you got a price for living. So I know I went into the barbershop, and I really had to convince myself, because I was like, oh, I need it, but I'm kind of iffy because my stuff had started I was almost bringing my dreadlocks back. I almost had.
Ben, I have to tell you, my hair is the color of your pants. James Edwards saw me in the garden. He goes, Mama, you're not blonde. Your hair is black. I said, it's always been black. But you've never known me in your whole 17 years of life. You've always known me as a blonde because I'm supposed to be blonde. But I didn't want to go either. I was like, how do I transition into this new look?
I finally went, and I was like, okay, that was a different feeling. You know how that was a feeling I hadn't had the whole COVID, of course.
Right.
It's like when you get your new cut or you get where I'm going, I'm finna go to Walmart.
Yeah.
I went straight to Walmart so people could see my new haircut.
Yeah.
And but to go back, like the barber, a couple of the barbers that's usually in the shop, they're not coming back.
Oh, really?
No, they started doing, because it was some people who still want their haircut. Because I seen people coming into work, I'm like,
they got their hair done.
And this was before they started opening up stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, man, you sick. And
or vain. You're vain. I noticed that on the news, though. On the news, there's certain people that were reporting, and all of a sudden they had like hair color and haircuts, and I was like, how are y'all looking so good and we're looking so crappy?
Exactly.
Because they're sneaking in and getting their hair done.
But you had people who was doing house calls, people that had setting it up in their garage, or hey man, you can come over, do a little private thing. It ain't gonna be more than 10 people, and so it goes back to when you say finding that. Yeah, you might have been cool working in the shop and you had that consistently, but you don't know when you're going to be able. If you don't feel comfortable working in the shop because of all this, you can still do your job.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it allowed, but those same barbers probably wouldn't have took that chance 6 months ago.
No.
They wouldn't even.
Because you have to be pushed into a corner and you have to, it's like, okay, what am I going to do?
Right.
I'm freaking out.
What I'm going to do with what I have.
They got triggered.
Right.
They got triggered into being entrepreneurs.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how we go back to with this mental health. You have to always try to feed your mind.
Yep.
As much as possible, you got to try to feed your mind. Mm-hmm. Because if not, your brain gets empty, and just like when you start hearing your stomach, that's how your mind kind of is, and it's playing tricks on you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And you start feeling like this situation is worse than what it is, mm-hmm. because you don't see you don't have a release, mm-hmm. and then we don't know when it's going to end. Mm-mm. So you got to do something.
Yeah, well, and that's the most important part about all of this: the YouTube channel, my Martini Talks with my best friends.
I've been able to, like we were saying earlier, we was talking in the inside, but I've been writing a lot of. I have a movie that a movie that I just co-wrote, mm-hmm. that we finished. So once we hopefully are able to, now that is one thing I am hoping for, to get to the point where we can have people that, because the movie is, I feel like it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, and that's your thing. You love that.
Yeah. And
you asked me to be in it, and then I ended up getting sick, and we ended up not getting connected. But I got to be in your next movie.
No, you're gonna be in. You can get in the movie. We ain't started shooting.
Oh, I thought you were shooting. I thought it was already done.
No, we did one last year, and this year that was the one that was kind of like on the fly, like we was kind of putting it together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it happened. Mm-hmm. And but this one is the one that we really put way more effort into. Not that we put in a lot of effort into that one.
Yeah, but you don't do anything halfway anyway.
Yeah, we did a whole lot of. We just had a whole lot of different efforts that we had to do. It was just like, hey, yeah, let's go, and we improvising. And I remember I told a guy the other day, he was watching, and he's like, I said, man, we ain't had no script for that movie. He said, y'all ain't had no script. I said, you know how long the movie is? Like an hour change. He's like, y'all ain't had no script. And I mean, we had the premise, and we was just cut. Now do this, say it like this, bam. You know what I'm saying? So, this one is going to be way more. and I'm just excited for that. So I want to be able to have, get everybody involved. But that project, I'm working on I guess you could say a reality show. So and we got some skits and stuff that's coming out, but this what is it,
while we're on, tell everybody what your website is. How can they go see that movie?
So you could catch the movie. I have some scenes in a role. It's called the Trouble in the Johnson Family. I was about to say the new title.
Trouble in the Johnson Family.
Trouble in the Johnson Family is on YouTube. It's
I'll stick a link down there in the comment section.
Featuring the star of the movie. He's a local comic. Well, he's one of my comedic brothers who I co-wrote the second movie with, which will be Trouble in the Jones Family, Part 2. What did we decide to call it? Family Over Everything. Because this is
Family Over Everything.
Yeah, Family Over Everything. Trouble in the Jones Family 2. Family Over Everything.
Family Over Everything sounds like a living your sweet life kind of moment.
Yeah.
This is probably a good spot for us to end.
Yeah.
I hope you guys have enjoyed us hanging out and talking.
Been a Damn Fool. I forgot to say
Yeah.
That's for the movie. And then on Instagram, Snapchat, all those things, Been a Damn Fool and Been a Damn Fool, just like how it's supposed to be, all together. And Ben Jackson on the Facebook pages and everything like that. You can find me and my comedy album. It's the anniversary of me releasing my comedy album. I released it on today last year.
Dude.
Yeah.
Congrats.
I forgot, with all this stuff going on.
That's awesome.
I didn't know.
That's awesome.
And then it popped up on my thing.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys know, since you mentioned that, I'll tell you. Mother's Day and May 13th this year was my mother's birthday. It would have been her 74th birthday. She was killed at 31. And Martini Talks all dropped. All 4 playlists dropped on that Wednesday, or whatever, that May 13th, mother's birthday. It was Wednesday this year. And then the next week I did it again. And then I decided Martini Talks would drop on Fridays only. Everybody else drops Wednesday, but Fridays is Martini. And I dropped it for the first time with a guest, the first guest, on May the 29th, which was just this last Friday, which was my dad's birthday and death day. He lived to be 64, and he's been dead for 17 years. So it's a way for me to remember all that kind of stuff. But that's really cool that you've got your anniversary on your stuff.
Those numbers, like you say, numbers and spirits, like I'm kind of big on seeing stuff and that energy and feeling things. Because I'll say this last thing. The thing about that album, because you mentioned about your parents and your grandparents and with the spirits and everything like that. So my grandmother, I was really, really close to her. She passed away when I was in the 10th grade. She had different ailments, but she didn't pass away from one of them. She fell, hit her head, and had a blood clot. She didn't pass away from her ailments. It was
an aneurysm, yeah.
Right. So she passed away on January the 10th, 2005.
Okay.
Fast forward, my dad lives in Milwaukee. That's his mom. And he came out to visit. He spent like a whole December with me. Like December, and he left a couple days after the first. And I got the call while he was here. He wasn't going to be able to see my first time headlining at the Improv.
Right.
But he was here when I got the call. Like, hey man, you want to headline? We want you to headline. I was like, yeah, cool. He said your day going to be January the 10th. And I was like, all right, cool. So then I told him, I went up to him and said, hey man, I'm headlining January. He's like, oh man, for real? He said January the 10th. No, January 11th. I'm sorry. He said, yeah. I said, yeah. He said, that's the day Mama passed. I said, for real? He said, yeah, that's the day it passed. I said, okay, that's all right. And it kind of
got you thinking.
It got because for him to, because he wasn't gonna be here to share that moment with me on stage or seeing me perform. I performed there before, but headline there for the first time.
It's a big deal. Yeah, it's a huge deal.
He wasn't gonna be able to share that with me. but for him to be there to get the news as soon as I got it, and to have that day mean something different, or have another meaning to it, a positive meaning to it.
Right.
It feels good.
Yeah, it always does. We love them, even when they're gone. We always love them. They're always around us.
Absolutely.
Well, I hope you guys are enjoying your afternoon. You've enjoyed our talk. It's Alisa Murray with Ben in Martini Talks, living your sweet life. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Peace.